Welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're going to be looking at something a little different. Yeah, it's still AI,
Okay.
but it's from this really interesting blog post from November 2024, and the author is looking back at
Okay.
the past 2 years with ChatGPT. So it's not just like a technical breakdown or anything. It's a personal journey
Right.
with all these AI tools, which I think makes it even more fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what's really cool about this deep dive is that we get to see how these tools
Uh-huh.
are actually being used in someone's everyday life.
Right.
Not just the technical specs, but how they actually impact someone's work and decisions and all that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what's the so what of all this AI stuff?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So we'll be unpacking, the author's kind of mixed feelings about how fast AI is developing and
Yeah.
all the different tools they've tried out. And get this, ChatGPT even inspired them to move from Beijing to Ottawa.
Wow, really?
Yeah, it's a wild ride.
It's a good reminder that, these AI advancements, they're not just
Hmm.
happening in some lab somewhere.
Yeah,
They're actually impacting people's lives in some pretty unexpected ways.
totally. So let's jump right in. The author starts off by talking about their second year with ChatGPT, and they
Okay.
have this feeling that everything's moving super fast, but also kind of slow at the same time.
I think I get that.
Right, like there's all this AI news and demos all the time, but they haven't seen any huge breakthroughs
Hmm.
since GPT-4 came out back in March 2023.
Yeah, it makes sense to feel that way, I think. When something comes out with so much hype, you kind of expect it to just keep
Yeah.
getting bigger and better every year. But
Yeah.
those massive leaps like we saw from GPT 3.5 to GPT 4,
Right.
those are probably not going to happen every year.
Hmm.
You know, what's really important is that within these existing models,
Okay.
there's still so much potential that's being uncovered.
So it's like we've discovered this massive new continent
Mm-hmm.
and we've made some amazing progress exploring it, but there's still so much more to find.
Exactly. And it's changing all the time, even when we don't see those massive leaps.
Right. Okay. So the author actually brings up some predictions from Sam Altman and Dario Amodei about
Okay.
reaching AGI, artificial general intelligence, maybe even during the next Trump presidency.
Yeah, during the next Trump presidency.
Potentially, yeah. It's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it.
That's not that far away.
I know, right?
If you think about those predictions and how fast things are moving,
Right.
it's clear that we're headed towards some seriously big changes. It's like
Yeah.
this quiet but really intense period of development right now.
So we're laying the groundwork for something huge.
Exactly.
Now I got to ask about the author's experience with those custom GPTs. They launched over 20 of them on the ChatGPT store.
I know, right? They went all in, and actually they even became a top GPT's creator on LinkedIn.
Oh, wow.
But the story doesn't end there.
Hmm.
Sadly, OpenAI ended up shutting down the GPT store because there wasn't enough good quality data.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. So they're putting all this work into these custom GPTs, and then
The platform just disappears.
did they say why they think the GPT store struggled?
They did. And it boils down to the classic chicken and egg problem.
Okay, what do you mean?
To get people excited about making great GPTs, the platform needs to be easy to use and fun, right?
All right, makes sense.
But to make it that good, you need tons of data from people actually using it.
Ah, so it's a vicious cycle.
Exactly. One thing holds the other back.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show how important design and user feedback are.
Yeah, for these platforms to really take off. Now, this next part is where it gets really interesting. The author tells this story
Okay.
about cutting their thumb really badly and using ChatGPT's voice mode to get first aid advice in real time.
Oh, wow. That's thinking on their feet.
Right. Talk about a practical use for AI.
It shows how voice interfaces can totally change the way we interact with AI, especially when you need your hands free. It's like having a companion there to help you, even when you're alone.
It's kind of funny, though, because later on they predict that visual interfaces are going to stick around for at least another decade.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so even though they were using voice commands in this situation, their overall vision seems to be more about seamlessly integrating AI into what we see, like with glasses or other wearables.
So it's not that they think voice is going away. It's more about using the right tool for the job.
Exactly, finding the best way to make AI work for us. Now, speaking of the right tool, they were really impressed with Claude's artifact feature.
Oh, yeah. They even compared it to how ChatGPT handles making custom tools.
And what did they think?
They thought Claude was way more intuitive and user-friendly. But what really blew their mind was Claude's computer use feature.
Wait, computer use? What is that?
So picture this. Claude can actually interact with a virtual computer, like look at its screenshots.
Whoa.
and generating control messages. It's basically a step towards AI agents that can do stuff in the digital world for us.
So it's not just about text or images, it's about controlling a whole computer.
Exactly. Now, this tech isn't quite ready for prime time yet,
Uh,
but it shows how powerful AI agents could be in the future. Imagine them doing all sorts of complex tasks online for us.
That's incredible. So we've got ChatGPT, Quad. What other tools did they play around with?
Well, they also spent some time with Apple Intelligence, specifically the Genmoji and Image Playground features.
Those are pretty fun.
Yeah, they had a blast making avatars for their friends and even their professor.
Oh, I bet that got a good laugh. What did they think of Apple Intelligence overall?
They really liked the image stuff, and they even saw it as a first step towards even more advanced AI creative tools.
Okay.
But one thing they didn't like was that everything needed manual prompts, which made it a bit less spontaneous.
So the quality was good, but the user experience could be better.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
They also mentioned using Perplexity for online research, even more than ChatGPT's search function.
Interesting.
They loved it so much that they switched to the Arc browser, which makes Perplexity even better, especially with the Claude 3.5 Sonnet model.
Wow, so they're not just trying out different tools, they're actually changing their whole workflow to make the most of AI.
Exactly, it's a whole new way of working.
Mm.
And that actually brings us to their thoughts on AI adoption
Okay.
and how surprised they were that it's been so slow among their peers.
Yeah, they even tried to get 500 students to sign up for Perplexity Pro using their school email,
Mhm.
which would have unlocked a year of Perplexity Pro for the whole campus, but they really struggled.
It is kind of strange. You'd think with all the hype around AI, everyone would be jumping on board.
Right.
But there's often a gap between the hype and people actually using new tech in their everyday lives.
And they even noticed a difference between US and Canadian universities, with US schools being more open to Perplexity Pro.
That's interesting. I wonder if it has to do with cultural attitudes towards technology or even just exposure to AI education.
Yeah, it really made them realize how important it is to make these tools easy to use and accessible for everyone.
Absolutely. If we want people to actually use AI, we need to address concerns about privacy, data security, and the impact on jobs.
It's not just about the tech itself, it's about the whole human element.
Right. And speaking of the human element, they make a really good point about the importance of user experience.
Okay.
They even say that UX is more important than knowing all the fancy prompt engineering tricks.
Interesting. They actually share a funny story about a classmate who had no idea ChatGPT even had a mobile app or voice features.
Oh, wow.
It just shows you that even with all this amazing AI tech, we still need to teach people how to use it effectively.
Totally. And they have some interesting thoughts about the future of user interfaces, too.
Oh, yeah.
They think that even with voice assistants and all the visual interfaces are going to be the main way we interact with AI for at least another decade.
Really? So they're not buying into the whole voice is the future thing.
Well, they think it'll be important, but visuals are just so intuitive and powerful that they don't see them going away anytime soon.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
They even predict that product management is going to be a huge deal in shaping the AI landscape.
Yeah, if UX is king, then people designing those experiences are going to have a lot of power.
Absolutely. Now let's switch gears for a minute and talk about their thoughts on the importance of real-world experiences.
Okay.
They had this realization during a trip to the Jogasaki coast in Japan that even with all the cool stuff happening online, there's nothing quite like being out in the world and having those real-life experiences.
Yeah, it's like the more digital our lives become, the more we crave those genuine in-person connections.
Right, and they even say they prefer going to events in person. It's all about finding that balance.
Totally. And they tie this back to how we use AI tools. It's not enough to just play around with them. We need to find ways to use them in the real world.
To actually make a difference.
Exactly. The real power of AI is in how it can solve problems and make our lives better.
That's a great point. And speaking of making a difference, they also talk about this idea of slow is fast when it comes to AI and information.
Oh, that's interesting. What do they mean by that?
It's about being more mindful and deliberate in a world that's constantly pushing for speed and efficiency.
I like that.
They even admit that they can usually spot AI-generated content, especially from ChatGPT on sites like LinkedIn.
Yeah, I think I can too sometimes.
It's about developing a critical eye in a world where information can be easily manipulated.
Absolutely. And they share this really thought-provoking point from Scott Aronson about the diminishing value of sharing AI-generated content, unless the prompt you used was super creative or insightful.
It makes you think about the purpose of all this content we're creating. Are we just churning it out, or are we actually saying something meaningful?
Right. It's about using these tools to amplify our creativity and insights, not just to create more noise.
Exactly. Quality over quantity. It's a message I think we could all use a reminder of.
I agree. It's a great reminder that AI is here to help us, not replace us.
Hmm.
And that actually leads perfectly into the next part of our deep dive, where we'll explore what the author sees on the horizon for AI. What possibilities are emerging, and how might they shape the future?
Sounds good. Let's dive in.
All right, so the author is really excited about AI blurring the lines between the digital and physical worlds, especially with all the new hardware coming out.
Yeah, they even mention trying out the humane AI pin, but they weren't super impressed.
Oh yeah, what did they say about it?
It sounds like it just wasn't quite ready for prime time yet, but they're still optimistic about AI-powered wearables.
Okay.
They even said they might try Limitless AI's pendant next year, but what really caught my eye was their mention of Meta's Orion Glass.
Oh yeah, that sounds pretty incredible.
Imagine having all that AI power right there in your glasses.
It's crazy to think about how companies are pushing the boundaries of AI interaction,
Yeah.
moving beyond screens and keyboards.
Right, it's like AI is becoming part of our everyday environment.
Yeah, like an invisible layer of intelligence that's always there.
And the author is also really interested in how AI could change the way we read and interact with information. Getting away from those flat, two-dimensional screens. They even bring up Dynamic Land's project as a potential glimpse into the future.
Oh yeah, Dynamic Land is doing some really cool stuff.
Yeah.
They're creating these interactive environments where information comes to life.
Like how?
You can actually move physical objects that represent data, and the system responds in real time. It's a totally immersive learning experience.
That sounds insane.
And does, right?
And of course, we can't talk about AI in the physical world without mentioning Tesla's general purpose robot.
Oh man, that's a game changer.
Right. Imagine AI-powered robots working alongside humans in factories, hospitals, even our homes.
It's kind of scary, but also really exciting.
Totally. But before we get too carried away with the future, the author recommends two essays that offer a more grounded perspective.
Okay, which ones?
Situational Awareness, The Decade Ahead, and Dario Aminotti, Machines of Loving Grace. Have you read either of those?
I have, and they're both fantastic. They really get into the nitty-gritty of AI development, the potential benefits and risks, and the ethical stuff we need to be thinking about.
I especially like Machines of Loving Grace. It explores the idea of AI as a tool that can help us solve problems and make the world a better place.
Oh yeah, that aligns with the author's overall optimism about AI, for sure.
The author seems particularly interested in Emote's vision of AI agents that can interact with the digital world seamlessly.
Right. Using text, audio, video, even mouse and keyboard control. It's like having a superpowered digital assistant.
It reminds me of their experience with Claude's computer use feature. It seems like that's where things are headed.
It does, doesn't it? And to round out their recommendations, they also suggest the book Co-Intelligence, Living and Working with AI by Ethan Mollick.
Okay, I haven't read that one. What's it about?
It's all about how we can work effectively with AI. It's actually one of the most practical books out there on current AI trends, especially for people who aren't super technical.
That sounds really useful.
It is. He lays out 4 key principles for what he calls co-intelligence.
Okay, I'm listening.
First, use AI to help you with everything you do. Second, stay in the loop as the human decision maker.
Okay, makes sense.
Third, treat AI as a partner, not just a tool. And fourth, always assume that the AI we have now is the worst it'll ever be, which should motivate us to keep pushing for better.
Those are some really solid principles. It's all about finding that sweet spot where human ingenuity and AI can work together.
Exactly. It's not about humans versus machines. It's about collaboration.
And that collaborative spirit is so important. AI shouldn't replace us. It should empower us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's about using AI to amplify our capabilities, expand our horizons, and solve problems in new ways.
I love that. So we've covered a lot of ground here. The author's personal journey, their experiences with all these different AI tools, their thoughts on adoption, user experience, and even the importance of real-world engagement. We even took a peek into the future.
What stands out to you the most from all this?
I think the biggest takeaway for me is the need to find that balance between embracing the power of AI and staying connected to what makes us human.
I couldn't agree more. It's about using these tools to make our lives better, not let them define us.
Exactly, to connect us, not isolate us. To make us more effective, not less human.
Well said. It's a reminder that we have the power to shape how AI impacts our lives.
Totally. And now for the final thought-provoking question that the author leaves us with.
Oh, okay, hit me with it.
So they ask, how can you bridge your own knowledge and skills with the evolving capabilities of AI to create something meaningful in the real world?
Well, that's a big one. It really makes you think about how we can all be a part of shaping the future of AI.
Right. It's like we've been given this incredible toolbox, but it's up to us to figure out what we're going to build with it.
Exactly. And what's so cool is that there are so many possibilities. I mean, we're just scratching the surface of what AI can do.
It's like we're standing on the edge of a whole new world.
Totally. And it's
Yeah.
up to us to decide what kind of world we want to create.
And what I love about this author is that they're not just interested in the tech itself, they really want to use it to make a positive impact.
All right, they're walking the walk, not just talking the talk.
Exactly. They're out there experimenting, pushing the boundaries, and showing us what's possible.
It's really inspiring.
It is. This whole deep dive has been a real eye-opener for me. AI doesn't seem so abstract and futuristic anymore.
I know what you mean. It feels much more real and tangible now.
Like it's something we can all be a part of.
And that's the key takeaway here. AI isn't just some cool tech. It's a tool that can empower us to make a real difference.
Well said. It's been a fascinating journey exploring this author's personal reflections on 2 years with ChatGPT.
It has. And I hope our listeners feel inspired to continue their own exploration of AI and discover how it can help them create the future they want to see.